Look at that. Already with the sad transition.
みんな、私、とってもいいゲームを用意してきたわ。
Is it because it is a side character route? Right? Meaning that this is a shorter route? That it is better? What am I trying to say in that? Because Ritsu's route is going to be shorter because it's a side character route, there's less fluff. And I mean, like, the point of fucking visual novels is fluff, right? We've seen time and time again that adaptations of visual novels fail horribly because there's not enough fluff. Right? I need to stop saying that word, but it's the perfect word to use in this context, right? But we've already gotten character moments from other characters' routes, and you were forced to play through at least one of their routes before being able to do Hibiki's, right? So the writers, or I guess the developers, in a sort of roundabout way, substitute the fluff that they would have had to put in Ritsu's route by forcing you to play through a different character's route and seeing Ritsu's character in their route, I guess, right? No, the unique interactions between a Ritsu who is between a little sister who's in love with her brother, while her brother is dating another girl, I guess. I don't know.
今日はそれをやりましょう。
That morning, all of the members of the youth collective had gathered in the club room. I didn't have work today, so I had every intention of enjoying my youth with Ritsu.
今日は勉強会じゃありませんでしたっけ？響、課題は大丈夫なの？もうすぐ8月よ。まだ30日以上あるじゃない。余裕よ、余裕。小日向先輩がそう言うなら。
Hiragi closed her textbook and set aside her homework.
じゃあ、私も。
Ritsu put her own study materials away just as jovially as Hiragi did. Was this all right? Their naughty upperclassmen, us, seemed to be having a bad influence on them.
小日向、面白いゲームってなんだ？
またボードゲームっすか？もっとスリリング&エキサイティングなゲームを見つけたの。これよ。
With a cocky smile, Hibiki flung her right hand overhead. And in that hand was, those are just ordinary disposable chopsticks. And she was holding 8 of them to be exact.
そばでも食べるんですか？自分は冷やし中華がいいっす。違うわよ。これでゲームするの。
I had no idea what she was getting at. Are they going to pretend they're swords and have a sword fight? Seems kind of childish.
目をついたら危ないです。ダメですよ、小日向さん。
Kashima and I shook our heads.
そんな子供っぽいことするわけないでしょ。これはくじよ。今から王様ゲームをするのよ。
Oh, who would have guessed that the chopsticks were going to be used to draw lots? Hibiki held the bundle of chopsticks out in front of her.
何？
本気なの？響。
Both Shinji and Kaido seemed irked by her game choice. I was put off by the idea too. It was a surprising choice, to say the least.
お兄ちゃん。
Uh-huh.
顔色悪いけど、どうしたの？王様ゲームって、そんなに怖いことするの？
Listen. All I'm saying is... Listen, Ritsu, you just don't look it up, alright? You don't want to know what shows up if you do, because it can either go one of two directions. Either it ends up with all the characters fucking, or it ends up with all the characters dead. All right, and you don't want to see either of them. And the latter one is even worse somehow, because it was adapted into a shitty anime that was adapted. Well, no, it was made into a shitty manga that was adapted into an even shitty anime. You know what, Ritsu? Just don't worry about it. Just don't look it up. Ritsu was oblivious and looked up to me looked up to me for confirmation.
私もどんなゲームか知らないんですけど、チャンバラより危険なんですか?
Kashima looked equally puzzled.
鹿島先輩、めっちゃ危険なゲームっすよ。特に女子には超デンジャラスっす。下手をしたらもうお嫁に行けなくなるっすよ。
I mean, I was gonna say the former choice is also bad because for some reason there's always one character that ends up getting cucked, but like, you know, group sex in and of itself is already something I'm not into, so never mind.
どういう意味ですか?
鹿島、王様ゲームってのはな、くじを引いて王様を一人決めるんだ。王様以外には番号が割り振られる。その後、王様になったやつの命令を他の者は聞かなければならない。
王様が1番は2番の肩を叩くこととかね。なるほど。ルールはシンプルだね。
Kashima and Ritsu nodded to Shinji and Kaido's explanation.
ハメを外した大学生がコンパとかでやるゲームよ。大抵エッチな命令が出るのよ。キスとか。キス？大人の遊び来たこれ。
Both of their faces instantly tinted vermilion.
いや、もちろんキス以上もあるっす。
You know, it's a pet peeve of mine that you... Look, I understand that referring to a blush as red or pink is boring to do it all the time, but like... Vermilion? Crimson? Just keep it simple. You know? That's all there is to it. Just keep it simple. You don't need to be elaborate with how you refer to the color of someone's blushy face or red or whatever, right? There's a reason why you either say red or pink.
何しろこのワールドは18禁っすからね。
Hijiri, don't put it on a global scale.
きっと当の先輩に揉まれちゃうとか。
I shouldn't say this because it's embarrassing on my end. I've only noticed recently in the H scenes that, well, I noticed it in Nagiko's H scenes that whenever Nagiko would mention use dick, it would be censored. No other bleep sound effect, right? But it was just cut out of the audio file. I do that sometimes when I swear at the start of videos. I say sometimes because I haven't really done it recently, but I don't know if it's been happening the whole time and I just haven't noticed, because it's, to be fair, it is subtle, right? There's a reason there's no sound effect accompanying the censor, right? It's not like MML, where they not only have the censor sound effect when talking about Yuta's peanuts in a comedic sense, but also during the sexual scenes. Right, in this instance, they're using the censor as a comedic thing. But it's like... It's weird, right? I've gotten used to Japan censoring hentai with stuff like that, right? Nonsensical censorship. But censoring the word is new to me, I will say.
さらには遠野先輩のおしゃべれとか天地さえ遠野先輩とするとか
Stop using me in your examples, especially because this is projection. It would be projection if it was her route, but this was going to hurt my reputation.
いつかはそんな日が来るとは思ってたけど、まさかみんなの目の前でだなんて。お兄ちゃん、最初から口頭プレイすぎ。
My sister covered her red face with both hands. Are you sure you don't want to say a different variation of the word of the color red? You know? I don't have a good example. Never mind. Again, why are you arbitrarily deciding that it has to be me? And hold up, why do you assume it's going to turn sexual?
美少女ゲームの定めっすね。
You're breaking the fourth wall. Listen. It's different, alright? This isn't a Bishoujo game. It's the opposite. A Bishonen game. I guess that would be the... Never mind. Listen. It's not a reverse harem. Was this sort of behavior really necessary?
小日向先輩、さすがにここで乱行はまずいかと。
Why were Kika's words censored, but Shiori could just say orgy and get away with it?
そういうのはきっとおまけルートにあるでしょうし。
Hiragi, please don't talk about routes. Especially since I've already done yours. Alright, I can't make a joke about Kika's route because I'm saving hers for last. But, you know, she a shady character too.
はいはい、わかったわよ。じゃあ、エッチな命令はなしにすればいいんでしょ？ユウは内心がっかりでしょうけど。
I'm relieved, actually. I was disappointed. It was disappointing to know my childhood friend thought of me that way.
とにかく、一回やってみましょうよ。せっかくくじ用意したんだし。
Hibiki shoved the chopsticks toward us for good measure. Listen, it's very easy to turn the King's game into a family-friendly thing. All right, it's just cards, just flashcards. All right, just pick out a card and be like, X number does X thing to X player to other X number, right? And they don't have to be raunchy, right? And then it can be a family-friendly thing. And I don't know why I'm saying this. Like it probably isn't. Like it already isn't a thing, probably. Especially since the King's game is something that I've only seen specifically in Japanese media, right? But you know, I'm only saying this because Hibiki doesn't have flashcards, or you know, cards that would have things that the king would task someone to do, or the king would get someone to do, get someone to do something to the king, or yeah. She was really amped up about this, huh? And there's no way she'd drop it unless we played her game.
まあ、いやらしい命令がないなら。小日向先輩がそこまで言うなら。
Besides, it would double up for people who are very indecisive, who don't really have a good what's the word? You know, for people who they don't have a good order, I guess. I guess that would be the right way to say it, right? And using the flashcard will make it easier for everyone to keep it family friendly and to make sure that people who wouldn't have been able to come up with a good order without him can easily progress the game by picking out a card and reading off of it or something.
本当にエッチはなしですよ。ドキドキしてきた。
We drew lots, with some of us feeling more excited about it than others.
みんな、引いても自分が王とか何番とかまだ言っちゃダメよ。ゆ、ほら、あんたも引きなさい。
Just once, alright? With that said, I drew my lot. 5. If I had drawn the king, it would have assured me a soft landing. Everyone reacted differently when they retrieved their chopstick from Hibiki. Who was the king? Uh-huh. From what I could see, Kashima seemed to be the king. If it was Kashima, then I'd be safe. But... For some reason, Ritsu and Hibiki also seem to be smiling. Strange. Indeed. So, who's in on the plan? That's all I'm gonna say. Who's in on it? Is it all three of them? Is it only two of them? Interesting. Everyone aside from the king was supposed to take orders in this game. Why did three different people look happy?
はい。では、響き式王様ゲームの説明をします。
Right.
耳を大きな像にして、聞くように。
Hibiki, that's seriously asking for trouble. I should have held my ground.
響き式？
変則ルールがあるんすか？このゲームには王の他に皇帝と神がいるのよ。
Oh? Then what's the point of... Right, you know what? Let her cook. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't help but cry out by this unexpected development.
ちなみに偉い順はこうなってるわ。
Hibiki wrote down the order of precedence on the clubroom whiteboard. God, Emperor, King. Doesn't seem that hard to... God was the highest, followed by Emperor, King, then 1 through 5. Yeah, who would have guessed? 1 through 5 last. 3 different people can give orders?
そうよ。皇帝なら王にも命令できるし、神なら皇帝と王にも命令していいのよ。面白いでしょう。どや。
Hibiki smacked the whiteboard with a blatant smug grin. Wait. You're making this even more complicated. I immediately rejected Hibiki's rule set.
何が問題なのよ、ゆう。
Like, who is what role or has what number? Wouldn't you be able to piece it together from the second round onward with these rules? You could maliciously pinpoint and attack individual people.
そこよ。その悪意が面白いのよ。
Hibiki. I know that they wouldn't go there, but all I'm saying is they could. All I'm saying is they could go there. With a fwish of her hand, Hibiki pointed her chopstick at me.
青春部のドロドロとした人間関係をあぶり出すの。圧倒的かつ悪魔的発想でしょ？
That's so cruel. My childhood friend was terrifying. Just how many soap operas was she watching?
ちなみに、私は神だから、すでにセーフよ。
Seriously? She sprung this devilish game onto us, just to give herself overwhelming safety. Damn it. It felt like we'd been conned.
響が神か。それなら姉同然の私は響の命令は安全なはずよね。
なあ、それずるいっすよ先輩。
持病の策が。あからさまに仮病っぽいのですが。すでに皆さん揉め始めてます。お兄ちゃん、部屋の空気がギスギスしてきたよ。
I blamed the evil god Hibiki. She had brought a cruel youth down upon us.
さあ、では、王からまず命令して。王は誰なの？
Hibiki drove away the bloodthirsty atmosphere and announced the start of the game. She totally misread the vibe of the room.
王は私です。
Kashima raised her hand straight up. I figured Kashima had gotten a title. Knowing her, I doubted she would force us to do anything especially egregious. However, I was in for a rough ride once my number was revealed, mostly because of the evil god Hibiki.
そうですね。では、1番の方は3番の方をうちわで10分仰いでください。
Alright, safe. I mentally struck a triumphant pose. Following Kashima's order, Shinji, your number 1, fanned off Hijiri, who was number 3, with a nice breeze.
神楽坂先輩、もっと力入れてほしいっす。自分暑がりなんで、今日でお願いっす。
俺は扇風機か。
Shinji grumbled as he waved his arms at high speed. 10 minutes later, we moved on to the next phase.
じゃあ、皇帝の番よ。王にも命令していいからね。1番が王を仰ぐとかでもいいのよ。
また俺が仰ぐのかよ。
Yep, that was it. That was the sort of thing I was afraid of. I'm begging you, please don't pick me, Emperor.
皇帝は誰なの？
I wonder who.
私でーす。
Who'd have guessed? This time, Ritsu raised her hand and stood up.
私は皇帝であることを肯定します。なんちゃって。
Fear. All of the club members briefly went wide-eyed at Ritsu's cringy joke. Then everyone fell silent.
なんだか室温が一気に下がったような気がするわ。
Oh, now you can read the room. So you were ignoring the mood of the room before, fucker.
エアコン効きすぎでしょうか。
Hiragi adjusted the temperature with the remote. Everyone, I apologize for my sister. I gave a heartfelt apology as her big brother.
なんで
She suddenly became indignant.
もしかして意味伝わってないの？皇帝と皇帝をかけたんだよ。
Yeah. We got the joke, Ritsu.
だったら今頃部室は大爆笑のはずなのに。自信のネタだったのに、おかしいよ。
She was cooking that up for a few minutes. My sister put her hands on the table and grieved. Now it made sense. My sister wasn't exactly what you would call a comedian. I put my hand on my forehead.
兄、ひどい。兄の何気ない一言が妹を傷つけたよ。もう、皇帝怒っちゃったからね。きっつい命令言っちゃうから。
Ritsu huffed with rage and turned into a tyrant. What?
神楽坂先輩は10分間お兄ちゃんの脇の下を思いっきりくすぐってください。
Oh, come on. But here's the thing. He didn't say the number. She was singling people out by name.
りっちゃん、個人名の指定はできないんですよ。
Don't you dare allow Ritsu to bend the rules, Hibiki.
まあ、神楽坂の1番は割れてるけどね。自分は3番っすから、当の先輩は2番か4番か5番っす。
Hijiri, don't give hints. Don't try to save yourself. We were well into the psychological warfare phase.
ちょっと、当の以外は私か柊よ。 男子に脇を触られるのは完全にアウトだと思うわ。
Unless it's you in your route.
そうですね。脇はまずいです。なので、膝の裏で。
そこもダメよ。
Picking the backs of her knees instead of the soles of her feet as an alternative, it was such a Hiragi thing to say. Not that I liked either option.
大丈夫。私は兄の番号は反応を見ればわかりますゆえ。
You have one chance. Ritsu puffed up her chest with a confident chuckle.
マジで？
まさか、遠野くん、りっちゃんも独身術を？
I haven't taught it to her. Could it have been Nagomi? I slapped on a poker face and braced myself for the worst.
1番の人は、10分間2番の人の、じゃなくて4番の人の。
Oh. So, I mean, come on, man.
はい。
でもなくて、5番の人の脇を悶絶するほどくすぐってください。
That's not. Listen, Ritsu. That's not fair. You're preying on people's inability to do a poker face. What? Hey, that's not fair. That's what I'm saying. She hadn't seen through me, but Senpai and Hiragi instead. There was no way out of it.
計算通り。
A smile, one that resembled a god of a new era, rose to my sister's face.
律の作戦勝ちね。ゆう、諦めてくすぐられなさい。
No, wait, this isn't right.
ルールにはちゃんと従ってるんだから、セーフよ。ねえみんな。
Hibiki looked around the club room.
まあ、ルールを破ってはいませんね。
当の、女子を守るために犠牲になりなさい。
先輩方がそう言うなら。
Everyone seemed to agree with Ritsu's verdict. Listen, there's a much easier way to go about this. Don't allow for tickling. It's just that simple. There was no escape.
神楽坂先輩、肯定命令を遂行して。
ゆう、そういうことだ。力を抜いて、俺に身を委ねてくれ。
You're getting a beating. Nah, I'm good. Shinji approached me with a docile look in his eyes.
大丈夫だ。痛くはしない。
Grr. I resigned myself and looked away from Shinji as we drew closer.
これは、どうしてでしょう。私、なんだかドキドキします。
This is the Bishoujo setting that Kika was foreshadowing.
予想外に短美な感じね。
BL っす。神楽坂かけるトーノっす。
Hijiri aimed her smartphone at us. Don't record us.
いいじゃないっすか。きっと不女子の方に売れるっす。部費の足しにするっす。
Don't you dare. Shinji and I were about to experience social suicide.
神楽坂先輩、
ゆう、すまん。
Shinji slid both of his hands up against my sides. Hey, hold on. Okay, I'm not. Nah. It tickled too much to resist, and I couldn't help it but laugh.
遠野の表情がもう少し切なげだともっといいんだけど。
神楽坂くんはもっと強引な感じが欲しいです。
お二人とも上着はだけてほしいっす。お兄ちゃんがエッチな感じに。
男優たち、もっと全体的に色っぽく。
Well, only Shinji has a voice actor, alright? I can't act.
誰が男優だ?
Yeah, what he said. Shinji and I yelled in unison. This was horrible. I couldn't be a groom anymore. And so the hellish 10 minutes passed. Wheeze. I can't. do a wheeze on command, so I'm gonna skip those. I was so exhausted from laughing that I flopped onto the desk.
遠野くん、顔真っ赤ですね。
If this is as if
熱演お疲れっす。
if the Emperor's command is this bad, how bad is the God's command gonna be?
おかげでいい絵が撮れたっす。
Or order, I guess. It's not an act. I never imagined Ritsu would have been the one to pick on me. That wasn't something I'd factored in. Wait a second.
さて、最後は神の私ね。
The evil god, Hibiki, held up her chopstick with the word God scrawled across it proudly. That's right. I still had the final boss to deal with.
リツのおかげで全員の番号は把握済み。つまり誰と誰をどうするもすべて私の手のひらの上に。ああ、この全能感、まさに神よ。
Hibiki spun around in place with the chopstick firmly in her grasp. She was in high spirits.
響ちゃん怖いよ。どうしようお兄ちゃん。
This is partially your fault. I quipped to my sister now that she had come to her senses.
さーて、誰と誰に何してもらおっかな。
Hibiki carefully scrutinized the club members one by one. Everyone made a point to avoid direct eye contact with her. It was best to let sleeping Hibiki's lie.
決めた。
Yeah?
せっかくだし、以前から気になってたことをやろうっと。
With a satisfied smile, Hibiki gave the final command.
5番が
Uh-huh. Me again.
皇帝に。
私なの？
今一番好きな異性を教えてあげて。
うわぁ、超知りてー。
Ritsu, you're a little too invested in this, alright? What does that sound, what does that sort of reaction say about you as a woman, Ritsu? But more importantly, Hibiki, are you serious?
マジよ。大マジよ。ユウ、この夏は青春するんでしょ？青春に恋愛はつきものよ。この際、好きな女子をはっきりさせなさい。
Right now I don't really...
あんた、仲間に嘘はダメよ。
She didn't hesitate to issue that warning. I couldn't just beat around the bush now that she said that, could I?
でも、りっちゃんに言ってもしょうがなくないですか？
いや、そんなことはないと思うわ。
はい。律を通じて情報が拡散すれば、いずれ本人の耳にも入るかと。
私、そんなにおしゃべりと思われてるの？
Yes. Ritsu was shocked.
ですけど、リツさん恋バナ好きっすよね。当の先輩がバイト先の村上さんと仲がいいって、リーンで焼いてたっすよね。
Did you say that to anyone else? Murakami was just a subordinate.
違うよ。ちょっとだけ気になってただけだもん。兄ちゃん、妹の可愛らしいジェラシーでござるよ。
Ritsu shook her beet red face side to side. Her tone of voice also sounded strange.
怖え。やっぱ女子怖え。裏でどんな噂を立てられてるのやら。
Shinji had an outbreak of his fear of women. Had an outbreak of his fear of women for the first time in a while. Crap. And here had finally gotten used to the other members of the youth collective recently. Well, that's because he didn't see them as women.
ああ、それなら安心っすよ。
Hijiri patched things up before I had the chance to speak.
神楽坂先輩の話題はちっとも全然みじんも出ないっす。
そうか、俺の話題はちっとも全然みじんもないのか。ヤッホーって、それはそれで傷つくんだけど。
Shinji sat in the corner of the club room and hugged his knees to his chest. And that's surprising. Not that he was never brought up, but that he's that hurt about not being brought up. I understood that feeling well, Shinji.
はいユウ、そろそろリツにカミングアウトして。言っとくけど、ま マジに正直に言うのよ。
Man, I get it. I just had to be honest about it, right? Ritsu, come. Ritsu, come here. I leaned over toward Ritsu and whispered directly into her ear. Okay, I don't know why that was laggy. I don't know. Listen. If it was my old laptop, if I was recording this on my laptop, I would chalk it up to having a bad laptop. But if it does, it did that on this PC. Either, you know, most visual novels aren't suitable to be run on AMD graphics cards, or this game just could not handle that amount of moving sprites, entities, something like that. Before I knew it, the other girls were all honing in on us. Everyone but Ritsu leave the club room. I demanded for everyone to clear out.
なんでよ。
I don't believe any of you have a right to hear this.
聞くつもりなんて、そんな。たまたま立っていたら聞こえてしまうのは仕方ないかと。
そうよね。
自分は何気なく当の先輩のそばに佇んでいるだけっす。
Uh-huh. They were all being painfully transparent about this. Shinji, take all those noisy girls with you out into the hallway.
お、わかった。はい、りっちゃん以外は出て出て。
At Shinji's urging, the other female club members reluctantly went outside.
リツ、後でリーンで。
今夜中に頼むっす。
Hibiki and Ijiri turned back and asked Ritsu to leak intel to them. You're all unbelievable. Girls really did love to gossip about romance. With that, Ritsu and I were finally alone in the club room. Ritsu, I'm going to remind you just in case. Don't tell anyone, okay? Okay? If you tell anyone, your brother's going to be a shut-in all summer. Going to be a shut-in all summer. It wasn't a threat. I was serious.
わかったよ。絶対誰にも言わないよ。
That includes handwritten letters and social media.
あ、そうなの?
Obviously. That was a close one. You had to be very specific with Ritsu, alright? She will exploit any loophole. She was going to gossip about it all night long over Lynn.
冗談だよ、お兄ちゃん。私の胸の内にしまっておくから安心して。さあ、どうぞ。
Ritsu put a hand to her ear and leaned toward me. I honestly don't want to say, but...
約束は守ろうよ。
Fine. I leaned in close up to Ritsu's ear. No! The bath's ready for you, Ritsu. Man, I was hoping we'd get to hear it. You didn't hear that. And we wrapped up our club activities and headed home. I called to my little sister in the living room after warming up the bath. No reply. I walked toward her. Ritsu, the bath's ready. Even standing over her, she remained silent. Was she feeling unwell? You haven't gotten heat stroke, right? Or a summer cold? I plopped my palm against her forehead.
お兄ちゃん、いつの間に?
She bellowed. Had she only noticed me now? I tried to get your attention multiple times.
ごめんなさい。何?
You must have been spacing out. Do you have a fever? I left my hand on my sister's forehead and put the other on my own. She may have had a minor fever.
大丈夫だよ。私とっても元気だよ。
You feel pretty warm though.
それは兄の顔が近くて手が触れてドキドキして。ってなんでもないよ。
Ritsu leaned backwards, and thus pulling her forehead away from my hand. What are you freaking out about? Yeah, definitely.
お兄様は私のことなどどうかお気になさらず。
Upon closer inspection, she appeared to be red from the neck up. Telling me not to worry wasn't going to change my mind. Ritsu, you seriously don't have a fever? Don't have a fever? What about the bath?
熱は本当にないよ。お風呂はお兄ちゃん、お先にどうぞ。私は宿題やってるから。
My sister jumped to her feet and pushed me on the back. She certainly seemed fine. Okay, if you're sure. Alright, I'll get in first.
うんうん。ゆっくり疲れをとってね。
Things really did go poorly this afternoon. I'd been too honest with my answer. Hibiki was always on my case about lying. I thought back to what happened this afternoon while soaking in the tub. Oh, we do get a flashback. When they asked me who I liked, I said, "Don't tell anyone, okay? If you tell anyone, your brother's gonna be a shut-in all summer."
わかったよ。
Okay, you don't need to give me the whole conversation, alright?
絶対誰にも言わないよ。
That includes handwritten letters and social media,
あ、そうなの？
obviously.
冗談だよ、お兄ちゃん。
Brother, it just happened. You don't need the whole fucking play-by-play. Just skip to 2 lines behind when he actually says it, alright?
私の胸の内にしまっておくから安心して。さあ、どうぞ。
I honestly don't want to say, but
約束は守ろうよ。
fine. I leaned in close up to Ritsu's ear and said, "It really is you, Ritsu."
本当に女の子として私を見てくれるの？
Ritsu's eyes glistened when she gazed up at me. Oh, yeah. I meant that I like you as my sister. Uh-oh.
そっか。
It finally made sense. As to why in that moment Ritsu looked disappointed.
だよね。うん。わかってるよ。
Ritsu's shoulders drooped. I couldn't possibly stick around the clubroom after seeing that. My chest hurt. So without thinking, I hugged Ritsu. Even though you're my cute little sister, I love you the most. Of all the girls I've met, you're the greatest.
お兄ちゃん。
Of course she'd be unhappy hearing something like that. Why didn't I talk my way out of it? I'm an idiot. I scrubbed my face over and over again with hot water. Ritsu really may have been freaked out by what I'd said. I was the worst brother ever. I really screwed up. Maybe I can make it up to her at dinner or something. What was I supposed to say, though? Should I have told her I lied instead? It would have hurt her more if I had. Besides, it's not a lie. I wallowed in my own self-pity and submerged my face into the tub of water. It was hot. Crap. I was going to get dizzy if I stayed in the bath much longer. I'd better get out. Oh, Ritsu. I knocked on Ritsu's bedroom door. No response. In fact, it was quiet. She wasn't in the living room either. Maybe she'd gone to the convenience store. It was already dark out though. Would she be okay? I should call her. I grabbed my phone and headed back to my room. Right. Okay. Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Yep. Mm-hmm. Ritsu. About the time I got the doorknob halfway turned, my hand stopped. Uh-huh. Yeah.
お兄
See, here's the thing. They're not showing anything. So, it should be okay to keep this in the YouTube. I am coping with that, but, right? You know? I could hear Ritsu's voice on the other side of the door. What's more, her voice sounded awfully erotic. Huh? Huh? Ritsu? I quietly cracked the door open. Okay, well... They definitely won't show anything, right? Then...
お兄ちゃん、もうお風呂出てたんだね。
Yeah! Okay. I didn't want to date this episode, but when someone comments something so interesting, it's kind of hard for me not to bring it up. You know, someone commented on the last episode. I mean, I don't know why I say someone when I literally screenshot the message, but GZUI, I don't know what how you actually pronounce the name, has brought up some interesting clarifications with what I was talking about in how I was confused about certain things in regards to the inheritance, and you know, he cleared it up for me. Right, just to clear up some of the inheritance confusion, under Japanese law, you cannot write your children out of your will entirely. A fourth, half with no spouse, of your estate has to be divided between your direct children. Therefore, it is impossible for the grandfather to deny Yu's mother from inheriting, except through a court case with very strict requirements. So that's the first interesting thing. So even if Yu's granddad wrote a will, it would have essentially been impossible for Yu's mum not to get money. Contrary to that, grandchildren have absolutely no right to anything if they aren't mentioned in the will. It's more clarification, even though in this context it's not really not really necessary information to know about, considering that there wasn't a will written in the first place. As to why he didn't write one yet, it's possible he didn't see the need to or wasn't expecting to die in the near future. I don't remember if we got told his age, but judging by the fact that Nagomi herself is still comparatively young, he could have very well still been in his 50s or 60s, which, yeah, I guess that would make sense. Alright, Nagomi is pretty young, and Yu's mum is definitely... she's very immature. Let's go with that. With how promiscuous Yu's mother gets described, it wouldn't surprise me if she got pregnant with him really early too. The interesting point this brings up is, if that is true, that Yu's mum had him early, it could, you know, if it isn't mentioned in the visual novel, right? If it's more of a speculation thing and they don't want to bring up something that could potentially be even darker than having the whole fucking Masaki estate shun Yu because he's a Tono, right? But if this is right, that means Yu was, well, a bastard child, to say the least, but that Yu's mum had an unwanted pregnancy, right? And instead of aborting him, she had the baby, and the baby was Yu. Later down the line, as in a year later, I guess. I don't even... Let me think about this. Because there's a lot of information that I'm trying to sift through, and I don't know how much of it is I don't know how much of it I should know compared to stuff that I think I should know, even though it's never been mentioned, right? I think that Yu's mom decides to marry someone a year later and then has Ritsu, right? Or I'm just thinking she married and she never actually married Yu's stepdad and essentially just forced Yu's stepdad to raise Ritsu and Yu without any input from her, right? And then he dies in an accident and is essentially and Yu and Ritsu are essentially forced to live together without the support of any family members or mother, because she's such a deadbeat who sleeps around all the time. It's a very it's a very reasonable interpretation, I guess. I mean, I don't know why I'm calling my own interpretation reasonable when, you know, I've been wrong a lot of times, but, you know, thinking about how we've heard about how Yu's mom acts, it wouldn't be surprising. It wouldn't surprise me if Yu was an accident and Ritsu may have also been an accident, and instead of taking responsibility for either child, she dumps all the responsibility onto Yu's stepdad. Right? And if the visual novel goes that far with it, right? If they actually clarify whether or not that interpretation is right or not, fuck. First of all, I already said before, if it get that dark in Ritsu's route, why wouldn't it get that dark in any of the characters' route, right? But if it doesn't go down that path, if they don't clarify that much to that extent, it's still a very dark implication, but because they don't confirm it, it's left up to interpretation, right? So it's like, who knows? Was Yu a mistake, or did Yu's mom actually try to settle down with someone and something happened, or something, right? You know, trying to make Yu's mom seem not that good as not that bad of a person as she's been perceived by the characters in this visual novel. But considering that Nagomi doesn't try to defend her sister's actions, I'm led to believe that she is that shitty of a person, and Yu was a mistake, and Ritsu was a mistake, and she dumped all the responsibility of raising both children onto Yu's stepdad. So, you know, that's my ongoing theory until it's proven wrong. Will it be proven wrong? Who knows? But, yeah. Very good comment. I don't know why I haven't hearted it yet. Call me lazy. Yeah, I just got out. I said that while I wiped down my hair with a bath towel. I acted like I had just gotten out of the bath.
じゃあ、私も入っちゃうね。
Ritsu's smile was somewhat awkward. Well, I would... You should know why it's awkward, considering she isn't wearing panties right now. She was carrying my pillow cover and sheets. Naturally, I didn't draw attention to that.
これはね、そろそろ変えた方がいいかなって。
Sure, that's fine. Thanks for being thoughtful. I tried my best to act like your typical big brother. This atmosphere was brutal.
では、私も急いで入浴してきますゆえ。夕飯はしばしお待ちを。
Sure, take your time and enjoy your bath. Make sure you get a nice long soak, Make sure to get a nice long soak in to wash away your fatigue.
はーい。
Ritsu answered me and headed for the bathroom. Ritsu, you dropped... She's already gone. I looked at the floor. Ritsu, out of all of the things you could have dropped, it had to be the biggest piece of evidence. out of the pillow cover, the bed sheets, and the wet panties, you had to drop the most incriminating piece of evidence. It was my sister's wet panties. Hey, Ritsu, little sister! I raised my voice and froze in place.
何？お兄ちゃん、大きな声。No! No touch, please!
My sister screamed and rushed to my side. I think you should point out the English, alright? She was so distraught that you're touching her used panties that she spoke in... I was gonna say fluent English. I mean, yeah, sure. Fluent English. I wasn't going to. Hell, I couldn't touch them.
回収！
She probably scooped up the goods in question and gripped them tightly.
見ましたか？妹のシークレットゾーンを見たのですか？兄上！
Her face was bright red as she questioned me. I didn't see anything.
本当ですか？
I mean, he could easily see something if he looked up the stairs while you're going up them, but, you know, he wouldn't do that. Okay, maybe a little, I said while spreading my thumb and index finger in my right hand ever so slightly.
見たんじゃん！
I couldn't help it. It was right there. My face grew warm as I tried to defend myself. Besides, I see them all the time when I do the laundry.
お兄ちゃん、私のパンツしょっちゅう見てるの？
Don't act like you don't see. Don't act like you don't look at his panties, his pants, his underwear. All right. Like I said, only when I do the laundry. I wish he would stop phrasing things in a way that would invite misunderstandings, especially when you're being spied by especially when we're being spied on by the Masaki family.
当の律、一生の不覚だよ。
I say family. I guess I should say the estate, the Masaki estate.
よりにもよってこのタイミングでパンツを落とすなんて。
Ritsu, don't bring attention to any weird goings-on with your panties. My sister wailed as she clenched her panties. What the hell was going on? I had no idea what to say here as her brother, you know. Listen, these things happen when you live together. Put those in the laundry basket and go take a bath.
あ、お兄ちゃん。
What?
明日の洗濯は絶対私がやるから。いい。絶対だよ。絶対にだよ。気を利かせてたまにお兄ちゃんがやっちゃうこともあるけど、明日それをやったら、私は、もう。
Ritsu's shoulders quivered and her expression went stiff. You'll... what?
出家するしか。
You'd go that far? My sister was ready to sever her ties with her to her worldly life. I get it. I promise not to do the laundry tomorrow. I won't go near the laundry basket either, so relax. I tried my best to calm her down.
もう大失敗だよ。もしかして天罰かも。
You're gonna get fucking smited, I guess. She hung her head dejectedly and tottered off toward the bathroom. I could sense her grief as she walked away. Oh man. I could feel the tension melting away. And truthfully, my heart had been pounding my chest this entire time. I tried to act like nothing was wrong, but... No! This had all happened after I'd seen that. Brother or not, it wouldn't be strange for me to be shaken up about that, right? It shouldn't be, right? Wait, if we were blood related siblings, if I were her real big brother, then wouldn't I be shaken up? Would I have an easier time blowing things off, blowing this whole thing off? I had no idea. Until now, I had gone without giving this any deeper thought. It was something I actively tried to ignore until it was literally thrown straight into my face. Ritsu likes me as a member of the opposite sex. Now that I knew that,